Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of SUU's Center for Teaching Innovations Teaching and Learning Podcast. Today I have guests here to talk to us about SUU's Student Outreach and Support Services, or Office, and how that can benefit not only students, but how that can also benefit faculty and staff who are working with students that may be struggling.
Yeah.
Welcome. Would you mind introducing yourselves just a little bit?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. We're happy to be here. I'm Heather Callison. I'm the Director of Student Outreach and Support. I've been at SUU for 5 years, and in this position, a little over a year with my Assistant Director, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm Rachel Brindley, and I've been here for almost 5 years as well, and in student outreach and support for about a year, specifically overseeing withdrawal support and the early alert system.
Great. So explain a little bit about what your office does so that our listeners get an idea of what service, because you've been around for a while. Mm-hmm. You're not a new office.
Yeah.
But this may be the first time some of our listeners are even hearing or aware of the SOS office or the Student Outreach and Support Office.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I think that's a big thing to bring up is you do mention SOS, which has kind of floated around a little bit and something that we're trying to adjust to or stick to student outreach and support because we aren't just crisis. Although the acronym SOS it fits perfectly, it can be misunderstood as crisis only, which is not what we're there for, but for all services.
I can see where that would also give kind of a negative connotation too.
Yeah, It can for sure. And so students only think, I only should go in there if I'm in a crisis, but I also students may not want to be seen in there thinking that everyone thinks it's a crisis, which isn't necessarily the case. We help students with peer support, advocacy. If they have a crisis, we're happy to help with them, help them too. Whoa, words are hard. But when it comes to like health and wellness, they want a cup of coffee. They want to be able to hang out and relax, do homework, things along those lines. Also, have an accountability buddy. Our goal is to be able to meet the needs of a student, whatever those needs are, especially with the bill that's been passed, making sure that people understand that if there's resources off campus, we'll help them with that too. And if anyone is concerned or worried about what resources they can have access to, we'll help guide them through that and being able to help answer any questions. I like to think jack of all trades to be able to help support whatever the needs of the student are, as well as if a faculty or staff member has a question about a student and how we can support them, getting them connected to resources. Rachel will talk about that a little bit more too and how we can collaborate, but really just there to support whatever the student needs. No one knows what they don't know. So being able to help students figure out what should I be asking and how can I get the help that I need.
Great. So you mentioned a little bit about advocacy.
Yeah.
I'm curious, I want to go into that a little bit. What are situations that a student might need an advocate?
Yeah, great question. What a lot of the times that I interact with, and I'll let Rachel speak to that as well, if a student is hospitalized, if there's death in the family, if there is a mental health crisis, I advocate for them to professors. I vet the situation, ask for the hard questions, sometimes documentation depending on the situation, to be able to help faculty understand that this is true and help them understand, hey, whatever supportive measures that could possibly happen, the student could benefit from, or if we need to talk with Rachel and talk about withdraw, incompletes, to be able to help the student be successful and whatever that looks like. Advocacy that way as far as my side, as far as the graduate assistants or the non-clinical case managers, that advocacy can look like I haven't attended class because I had the flu or something, and the non-clinical case manager can help them draft up an email to their professor, helping them explain, hey, I was out for a day, sorry about that, I plan to be in class. Or another advocacy can be time management, sleep hygiene, all the things that college kids go through. Many different advocacy as far as the student outreach and support. You want to speak a little bit about the whatever I just said.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's important to point out, if a faculty member gets an email from your office or you directly, Heather,
Correct, yeah.
that this is something they should pay attention to, because you're reaching out on behalf of a student.
Yeah.
And you may have already done the legwork of they've been at a funeral or they've had a severe diagnosis and you've already checked it out, so the professor doesn't have to do those hard questions. Because I teach on the side, and it can be hard when a student comes and says, I need an extension, but doesn't really want to share why.
Yeah.
To know that there's an office that I could go to and say, hey, I've got this student.
Yeah.
And you guys ask the hard questions to help
Exactly.
say, yeah, this is a legit concern.
Absolutely, yeah. Faculty that I've worked with have been very supportive, and whether that comes from myself or Dean Ogden, we're the two that work together to be able to support that student in whatever situation that they're in. And if a faculty member does have a question about it, we are totally open to have that discussion if they feel some information is not true or misconstrued or whatever that looks like, or what does supportive measures look like. We can absolutely chat through that, because faculty don't always have the most time to be able to say, let's have a sit-down conversation about X, Y, and Z, and then having the student having to retell that story to 7 different faculty members, that takes a lot of effort also, and
energy.
Draining.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up, because that's what we do, is be able to be that person to support the student, but also help faculty understand. We're not just going to ask you to give every student, please give them all supportive measures, because I would love to do that, but that's not the case. That's not how it works.
Sorry, and I interrupted.
Oh, it's
No,
good.
that's okay. The only thing
I
I would add to that is the importance of the self-advocacy piece. We are happy to advocate for the student, but I think helping them learn the skills to be able to advocate for themselves is important too. And that's a lot of what I do when I'm talking to them about, talking to the faculty members about an incomplete or an extension, because we aren't always going to be there to walk them through life, and being able to do that themselves is important too.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And I think that's great that it's important for us to acknowledge that students that are coming out of high school, or even non-traditional students, may not have the self-advocacy skills. They've never had to ask for those extensions or had to ask. So getting some coaching and learning, how do you do this appropriately? How do you handle this situation?
Right. Yep.
It's a great resource for our students to have.
Yep.
Great. So you mentioned something earlier, Rachel, about the early alert system. And this is something that, when I talk to a lot of faculty here at SUU, it's kind of a mystified system. And so I'm hoping we can demystify that just a little bit today.
Yeah, we're hoping to do that as well. We've been trying to really push forward with, I know in the past sometimes faculty members quit using their alert system because they didn't know what happened with their early alert. So one thing we've really worked on with the early alert system is making sure that we do follow up and let them know how we reached out to the student. But yeah, our early alert system is there for faculty and staff, as well as ACEs, to alert us the students early that they could use some additional support or resources, and we help connect them. And so once they submit that alert, our team reaches out to the student and offers support. Sometimes the student is non-responsive or not willing to take the support we offer, and we can't force them to, but we definitely follow up and let the faculty member know what happened with that early alert they submitted.
Yeah, Rachel's worked really hard to be able to flip that stigma of, we do reach back out, we do let you know this is what's happening, to some extent, right?
Right.
Because we don't divulge all the things all the time about students, but helping everybody understand we are putting in that effort to help the student, and thank you for using the system, because it's a team effort.
Well, and it's important because the other side to that is you can't force the student to take your help.
Yeah.
If you reach out, if the faculty member submits an early alert and the student says, no, I'm fine, I don't need your help.
Yep, and that's when we'll let the faculty member know we reached out, but they declined support. So we will update with that. But yeah, we can't force them to take our support, but we hope they do. Which the data is showing it's working. The early alert system is working. So the more it's utilized, the more we're able to do that early outreach and help the students. And we do get some non-responsive and declined support, but it's working, and we are getting a lot of continued support in our office. So.
Yeah.
And these services, whether it's the advocacy, whether it's the early alert, now are those just for our undergraduate students? Is that for our graduate students? Is it for face-to-face? Is it for online? I'm going to ask. I'm really curious.
Yeah.
So.
Great question. It is for all students. We support all students with the early alert. So we get the Speedway campus students. We get online on campus. All of them, we will reach out and support them.
Big cohort, which goes to show, I'm glad you brought up data, because if we have a small team, we have grown by a couple of people, which I'm so grateful for. But if the way that it worked out, we helped, our small team supported 5,000 plus unique students last year. And I was just so proud and happy because our team works really hard to be able to support those students. And I just see that growing because we've grown in it as a team, and people understand who we are and what we do, which I want to continue to educate people on the Student Outreach and Support Office so that we can continue to support those students and retain and save and help them get to graduation.
Great. So we've talked a little bit about what you do for students, and we've talked a little bit about how faculty can submit early alerts. What else do faculty need to know about your office as far as beyond just the early alert? How can they benefit from your office in other ways?
That's a good question.
I think one of the ways that I'm thinking of with withdrawal support specifically, if they have a student that's talking about withdrawing, or they even feel that they could benefit from withdrawing, don't just tell the student to withdraw. Send them my way. I'm happy to meet with them, see what they need, because there's a lot of different considerations they need to think about when it comes to housing. They might lose their housing if they just withdraw. They might lose financial aid or things like that. So rather than just referring them to withdraw or to leave the class, send them to our office, because we're happy to walk them through that and then help them withdraw if that's what they need to do. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think being able to discuss options before just saying one and done, I'm out, that way we can, again, the student becomes discouraged as soon as they hear the word withdrawal. Mm-hmm. So being able to erase that stigma and say, this team is there to help you understand your options, because nobody knows all the things. So if we can help you understand what's available depending on your certain need, whether it is a housing insecurity, maybe it's food, career, job, what money, whatever that looks like, that we can help discuss that with them.
Yeah, and even if it is to the point they need to withdraw, that allows us to offer them support for the next semester, so they don't need to continually deal with the same issues that they are each semester.
Yeah, we keep an eye of those students so that when they do choose to return, that our team can reach out and say, hey, what's the plan? Let's get things going.
That's great that it's not just, okay, they withdrew, and that you're keeping an eye out and watching, like, how can we help someone who's coming back in, or we were following up with students that we've worked with before. Yeah,
absolutely. Which I think helps people understand our SUU goal is that we care about students, and that those personal touch points really impact people and why they choose to come to SUU too. So
now I know your office has moved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I actually am really excited because I walked by the other day and it was starting to come into shape.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
And hopefully by the time I think this podcast will come out mid-September. So
we'll be there. We'll be all set up.
So you should be there by now.
Yeah.
This is a good move though for you all, because you were previously if I'm correct, you were in the Dean of Students office.
Yes.
And so you were kind of up and in this intimidating area of ooh, the Dean of Students and
hidden, yes.
EP Tippets and all this other stuff. Now you're down. Tell us where you're at now.
Yeah, we are in ST 101/102. We're across from the Still office, kitty corner from the ACEs, all just downstairs. We're very much more student facing, which I think will be really good for our office to be able to help students know who we are, what we do, how we support, rather than going to, I'm asked to go to the Dean of Students office. Oh, that's scary, just like you said. I think just being in a more open setting, more common setting where people are constantly walking by, can come in and ask questions, and that will be there to support them, I think will be absolutely beneficial for us.
And I think it's important to go back to something you said very early on in this discussion. You're also there if a student just needs a cup of coffee or a place to come do homework. So you are kind of a social area where students can find belonging.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you brought up House Bill 261, and we know what that. Do you?
Yeah.
I'm going to pause for a second, Stephen. So whatever you need to do to make a mark.
Yeah, we did talk about it last time, I think.
Do you want me to bring it up?
We can talk about it.
Okay. I was just going to bring up that even though this is still a place students can come to find belonging.
Oh, yeah. That's fine to say.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to the beginning of that. But before we do that, what else do you want to make sure you get in here? I want to make sure we get everything in.
Yeah, good question. I'd love to talk about Thor, the AI chatbot, a little bit.
Chatbot, okay.
What else do we want to talk about? We can talk about who's on our team.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Bring up the GAs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
What
that's
they do. Yeah. Do you feel like we've talked enough about services that we offer? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think if we go from here, because we just talked about where your location is.
Yeah.
And I think if we go with that this is still a place where people can come find belonging.
Yeah.
You're not just a physical location anymore. You're now a digital online location. And then when people reach out, who are they going to be chatting with? Does that work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So earlier you brought up the House Bill, or House Bill 261, and that had some ripples on campus. But I think it's important to point out that this office, as you pointed out, is a place that a student can come get a cup of coffee, can come sit and do their homework, find a sense of belonging with other people on campus. And as you pointed out, you're going away from the term SOS because I forgot something. Make another mark. We're just going to cut a whole section here.
It's great.
Do we want to talk about the fact that it's not, because we talked about this last time,
non-clinical. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
That's important.
So many things. Sorry, I don't have a pen.
No.
Shoot.
No, I know where I'm going to fit it in.
Okay.
Okay, so you ready, Stephen? Sorry, I'm making this a mess for your first one. Early in our discussion, you talked about the House Bill. And what we mean by that is House Bill 261. And as a result, that had some repercussions on campus where certain offices and systems were removed. But I think it's important to point out that your office, one, moving where it's at, has a little bit more of an area for community building. Mm-hmm. But as you pointed out, a student can come get a cup of coffee. They can sit and do homework, hang out with other people, and find a sense of belonging through your office. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Our goal is to be able to provide a safe space for people. All people invited to feel that safe comfort, just hang out, or if they have questions, don't know where to go, need to take a nap, want to be able to play games with somebody or small talk with somebody, make a friend. We didn't have that before, so I'm excited to see that grow. And although the bill, there's sad situations, I think that we are turning a new leaf as far as how we can support people. We've gained a couple folks from it and be able to provide resources and that community, because we're all going through hardships, whatever that looks like, and we need to bound together and get through college together, as faculty and staff, we're here just here to be together.
Can faculty stop in and get a cup of coffee?
Of course, sure.
Okay. They won't have homework to do, but they may have papers to grade, I guess.
Hey, sure, they come on in. I'd love to meet them. Whoever wants to stop by. We've had a few people stop by at the new space and just say, we're glad that you're here, or tell us more about what you do, because we were in a different space and a little bit more hidden. That I think, like I said earlier, it's a great opportunity for us to help people understand and educate them on who we are and what we do.
I agree. I think this allows us to meet the student where they're at more. Up in the office, when we've met with students, we've had to do some walks with a student because they feel more comfortable than sitting in an office. But this allows us to just go sit out on the couch if we want, or just have a conversation and just meet the student where they're at.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So that's your physical location, but you guys are also online now, correct?
Yeah, to some extent. If anybody's heard of Thor, the AI chatbot, I know the term AI scares people sometimes. I'm not a huge, I don't know a ton about all the things being said about AI, but this is not the same thing as what's out in the world. But Thor chatbot is through a system called EdSites, and he does check-ins with the students. Student benefit because not everyone's going to want to come and physically talk to an individual, but when a student gets a text from Thor saying, hey, just wanted to check in, how's your first few weeks of the semester going, or how are you feeling about your classes? That way, if a student triggers it in any way saying that they have a mental health problem or situation, or they're not liking their classes, Thor can help direct them to a resource to help them. Or if it's escalated, an actual person, our graduate assistants, our non-clinical case managers, myself, Rachel, we reach out to those folks and say, hey, we saw that through Thor, you said you were having XYZ situations. We want to be able to help you. And having that human touch point has been super helpful, kind of tagging along with the early alert, quote unquote, being able to catch a student early when they need that help and support. The thing about Thor is that he is only right now for main campus undergraduate students. Hope to expand later on, but he's proven to be a really good resource thus far as students interacting. We have a 97% opt-in rate, which is phenomenal.
That's wow.
Yeah, for our main campus students. Oh, sorry, I just bumped this. Yeah, I think it's amazing. 64. Yesterday was 64% engagement. So interacting with Thor, he's gotten smarter so he can have that small talk with Thor. And we don't see every conversation. It's just those that are more like the check-ins or alerts that we get to make sure the student is getting the resources and is safe.
And it's important to understand the Thor AI chatbot is not doing homework.
Correct.
It's answering questions about
yes. Yep.
Just how are you doing and
when we
giving
first
you information that way.
Yes. When we first launched Thor in October of 23, so many students, they were obviously playing with the system, trying to figure out how he worked and what he did, asking about their English and if they could write their English paper. No, that is not how he works. Thankfully, I don't think we would put that system on campus to do that, but it does direct them to links and resources. So if a student says, where do I find my advisor? It sends them a link. And if Thor doesn't know how to answer the question, it says, that's a good question, I'm learning, and sends them a link to what could be the resource, or says, reach out to the Student Outreach and Support Office with this email. So he's getting smarter. He's not, he doesn't know everything, but definitely not writing papers or doing math or anything.
So going back to your physical location, if I come to your office, or a student comes to your office, or a faculty member comes to your office, who are some of the people they're going to interact with?
Yeah, so our team has Heather is the director, and I am the assistant director of student outreach and support. We have 3 full-time non-clinical case managers in our office, and then we have a group of graduate psychology doctorate assistants, and they are also non-clinical case managers as well. Then we have a student worker and another full-time employee helping in withdrawal support as well. So we have quite a team now. Mm-hmm. It's grown from just Heather and I when we first started to a pretty big team.
Yeah.
So
I think it goes to show how important the work is that we've grown in such a small amount of time, because there's so much help that students can have, for sure.
Yeah. Now, you brought up an interesting term, non-clinical. And so I want to touch briefly on that, because I think sometimes when we think we're sending students for help, we're thinking, okay, we're going to CAPS, you're not CAPS.
Correct.
You're not doing
We're not doing counseling
or anything like that. When you use the term non-clinical, what are we talking about with your office?
Non-clinical case management essentially means that we're not licensed. We're there to support the student one-on-one with what they disclose and what they need and what they want help with. I'm actually glad about that. I don't want to be a counselor. I also don't want to step on anybody's toes, because the whole goal is to be able to work together, break down the silos between departments to help the student. So we work under FERPA as far as supporting a student. So if a student comes to us and says, I broke my leg, I don't know what to do, please help me. Well, we talk about options. Okay, well, you're in a wheelchair. It might take you 20 minutes to get to class instead of 10. Let's make sure we get you connected to the Disability Resource Center, and I'm happy to go up there with you to talk with you about those things, or if you want to do it. And there's times, back to that advocacy piece, coaching them through, next time, this is something that you can do. This time, I'll help you get through this. And being able to say, hey, Carmen, in the Disability Resource Center, this student situation is XYZ, and they're going to need a little bit of support. That's how we collaborate together as far as non-clinical. If we were in a clinical setting, we would not be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to just call a different department up and say, hey, the student needs help, because that's confidential. And that's something that we talk about in our office, is the difference between private and confidential. Obviously, we're not going to go tell everybody all the things and
you're not going to tell
issue.
Thor the AI chatbot.
Yeah, exactly. Please tell everybody. No,
Yeah.
Definitely need to know basis. Keeping everybody's situations close to us and getting the help that they need if they want that help. If they don't want it, absolutely not going to go share that information. But still able to help connect students to mental health resources, whether it is CAPS or our virtual mental health resources, which we do a lot of marketing for, and coaching them through what those resources look like, and they get to choose what they want. We walk students over to CAPS all the time, and we have a good relationship with them, and being able to help make sure those students are supported. And we check back in with the students and say, hey, how was your CAPS appointment? And if they want to disclose that, they can. And again, part of that advocacy piece, oh, you didn't do it? Let's get you set up. Let's do it. But of course, CAPS isn't going to say, oh yeah, Heather, so-and-so came and they got X, Y, and Z support. That's not how that works. So that's the difference between clinical and non-clinical. That probably was a little bit long-winded.
No, I mean, I think that's a good explanation, that you basically have the ability to reach out on behalf of the student, where CAPS, it's more like they have to keep it private. They have restrictions because of what they're doing compared to I get it.
Yeah, student permission, we can definitely help whatever they need.
Great.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up, any last thoughts or areas that you want to make sure faculty know about as your office, about how you can assist them, how you can assist their students?
Yeah, I would just like to say what our goals are between the two of us for the year. If you want to go first, Rachel.
Yeah, I would say our goals are moving a lot quicker than we had planned because Heather and I have talked goals a lot in the past. And one of our goals was that we want students to not be scared to come say hi and to just come talk to us. And I think with being our move to the new location and our new members that we have on our team, I think that vision and goal is happening a lot quicker than we had planned. But we do want students to know it's a safe place. Come say hi. Even if you have a question about withdraw, it's not a scary thing. It doesn't mean you have to withdraw. There's lots of different options that we can talk about, but it's not a scary thing or anything to be ashamed of. So,
yeah. I would say overall goal as far as student outreach and support, helping people understand who we are. So thank you for having us be here so we can spread the word, understand who we are, what we do, as well as helping students understand that and educating them on the resources, not only what they are, but when to use them and how to use them. Because there's many students that register for these virtual resources, but we're finding that well, why do I need this? What's it for? When is a good time to use that? So that's part of our goal this year, is to help educate not just the why, but the why. Yeah, the why and the how. So those are our goals. Thank you for having us here.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
If you need more help or want to ask more questions, they can come to your office.
Yep.
Down across from the Still Center or catty corner to the Nest.
Yeah.
If they need to reach out to you through email, what's the best email to send you questions?
Yeah, they can reach out to either of us individually, first and last name, Heather Callison at SUU.edu and Rachel Brindley at SUU.edu. And if that's hard to remember, because I understand I just spewed a lot of info, we do have SOS at SUU.edu that everyone can reach out to too.
Okay.
So call us, come by, whatever. We're happy to have them.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for being here, and good luck in reaching your goals this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.